Welcome to this webinar about the Fiber Traceability Initiative. This is a traceability solution following the journey of wool from farm to sweater. This is a collaboration between Axe Foundation, Filippa K, GS1 Sweden, and Virtual Roots. And today we will hear a presentation about this project from Filippa K, the Swedish fashion brand. And afterwards we will listen to a panel here in the studio with all stakeholders from this project. My name is Konrad Olsson. I'm the editor-in-chief and founder of Scandinavian Mind, and I will be guiding you through this morning together. We're here at the GS1 Sweden studios in Stockholm, and we're super happy to have so many listeners calling in from or tuning in from at home or the office from all around the Nordics. So super happy about all the attention and attentiveness we're getting from this. Couple of practical stuff before we get into it. This is being streamed live, of course, as you're watching it right now, but is also being recorded. So all of you who signed up, you will get a link to the recording afterwards, so you can share with your friends and colleagues afterwards. And there is an opportunity to ask questions about the project. There is a box here somewhere to my left, to your right in the screen. We won't be getting to all of the questions this morning, but we'll answer a couple of them at the end of the session. And but we will make sure your questions are answered afterwards, so someone will reach out. All right, let's get into it. I am happy to welcome Anna Berne, the Vice President of Product and Sustainability at Filippa K, who will give us an introduction to this project, starting with a short video.
What if product information from the entire wool value chain, from sheep farm to final garment, could be traced? What if this data could be made available in a QR code placed within the garment? That is what we have achieved in the Fiber Traceability Initiative. We've been trying for so long to trace our value chain from product to raw material origin, but we haven't succeeded, and it's been frustrating. In this pilot, we wanted to turn it around and start from the sheep farm. Now we can trace the garments from the farm through the wash house, the spinning mill, the dyeing house, the knitting manufacturer, and finally to the shelves in our store.
It's a paradigm shift. Companies are the driving force for future circular business models. For the garment to be truly traceable, all data must be included. And in this project, brands and suppliers have collaborated in completely new ways to make the data accessible.
Now we finally have a first version of a digital, traceable wool supply chain, from sheep farm to end consumer. It's all in the QR code placed in the garment.
With global standards, everything aligns in the end. Now the suppliers use the same business language, which is the foundation for interoperability. The Fiber Traceability Initiative paves the way for companies to implement the digital product passport.
A beautiful thing. Everyone will benefit from collaborating. The suppliers will have a competitive advantage, and more brands can digitize their value chain.
Given the QR code in the garment, it will be possible to guide the consumer on care, repair, and resell. In the future, the sweater can last longer, and brands can build stronger relationships with their customers.
Traceability and transparency is essential for compliance with the upcoming EU regulation. A unified, competition-neutral and global product identification improves the quality and efficiency.
And efficiency can bring down costs.
Exactly. And it enhances value chain security and safety.
A digital platform stitches all together. It opens up for scalability and new opportunities.
The digital product passport is the North Star of circular economy. What if you hadn't been frustrated in the first place, Anna?
You're right. We felt the need to turn everything upside down and start from scratch.
With the help of the data in the QR code, customers are able to make better choices.
Okay, thank you, Conrad, for the presentation, and thank you for everyone that's tuning in today. I'm Anna. I'm the VP of Product and Sustainability at Swedish fashion house Filippa K. And for Filippa K, traceability and transparency is the foundation for our sustainability work. We see it as the enabler for our other sustainability pillars. If we don't know where our raw material in our products are coming from, we don't get the true measurability that enables us to report on our environmental and social impact either. Can I get the first slide, please? Can we get the first slide of the presentation? Okay, there we have it. Thank you so much. Thank you. So what we have, the issue, we are trying to trace our product's raw material. We've been trying to start from the garment, start from the fabric, and trying to trace the fabric down to the raw material through the spinning mill, back to the wash house, and getting down to the raw material origin. And given the complexity in our value chain, we haven't really succeeded. We get down to the spinning mill, we can reach the wash house, but we can't really get down to the farm level, the actual raw material origin. It's due to the fact that we have so many participants in the value chain and the wool is changing owners many times. So we wanted in this project, like I said in the video, to turn it around and start from the farm. We want the information from the farm to be able to measure our true impact. If we don't have that information, if we don't have that data, we won't be able to report on the impact and the true impact. So the solution that we have created in this project is a digital traceable wool value chain. And what we mean with that is that we're starting with the farm. We have actually connected the farms to this project. We are following the raw material from the farm all the way through our value chain back to the hangers in our stores. And we're doing that through the GS1 global standards, the barcodes that we're using. So that's what we're using in this project, and we're using the Virtual Roots platform. And what we're doing in this project is not only tracing the garments, we're actually building a rail where we see the possibility to add on a lot more data points than we are doing in the pilot. What we're doing in the start now is adding on some data that we're doing to get a proof of concept, but we're building it as a scalable solution. And I think that is the big takeaway of this, is that we don't know going forward what we want to be able to add on to this traceability. And what we have done here is that we have put the rails, which enable us for the future to add on even more data points. So if we get regulations going forward that want something else than what we can share today, we can actually add that on as well. We can also add on more value chains. We don't see that the knitted value chain that we have created in this pilot is where the project is ending. We see potential to add on more value chains. It can be woven garments, but it can also be other raw materials. This is not limited to the wool value chain. It can actually be more raw materials as well. And the potential going forward, of course, is compliance with the EU regulations that are coming up. And we have some information, but we don't know all the details about that. And that's why we want to make something that is scalable, that can actually add on even more data going forward. And I can take the next slide. Thank you. So a fancy illustration that we have created in this pilot to also illustrate how this works. We have the farm, where we use the wool and we take it through the value chain that we have, through the scouring, through the spinning, through the garment manufacturing, and to the brand and the customer. And in the pilot today, that's where we are limiting the project, but we see enormous potential going forward to also add on the circular part of this, the recycling, the repurposing, and the reuse and the repair. And that's where we also see potential for scalability and potential for growth in this project. And the importance here is that we're using the GS1 standards because it creates a unified competition neutral global framework. And it's important when we are connecting our value chain. I think from people in the industry, we know how important it is when we are engaging with our value chain to actually do a pilot that is scalable, that's not limiting them to what is to something that Filippa K wants to do or something that another brand want to do. We want to enable this to be a scalable solution that can be also compliant with what they want to do for a different brand. And that's what GS1 standard enables, because it can actually add on. You don't have to be limited to the pilot that we are doing today. And I can take the next slide. So partners, I think already Conrad introduced us in the beginning, but we've been working as a partnership in this pilot. And I think that's important also to highlight, to be able to make this kind of projects and actually take them all the way through. It's important with the collaborations. It's not only important to have collaborations with different stakeholders, it's important to also collaborate in the industry. Where with small brands, we can't take everything as one brand. We need to collaborate. So we also really see the importance of collaborations between different tech companies and fashion brands, but also other fashion brands joining together and working together without having competition in mind. And I can take the next slide. Short presentation of the result. We have fantastic garments in our stores just launched with this QR code that goes in the neckline that I will show you very soon how it works. So we put the QR code in the neck label of the garments for the customers easily to be able to see and scan. And if you go to the next slide, we can also see for everyone joining, you can scan this code and see how it works and what you will see. And I think also we have Conrad in the studio that will take you through that live right now, how it looks when you're scanning the code. Let's see. So what we've been doing here is that we've built a first beta version of a digital product passport. So we have put the QR code in the neck label. When you scan that, you will get a lot of product information. You will get information about the actual product. You can see the nice picture here. And if you scroll down, you will have information about the product, the description, the product information, the material composition, normally what you would put also in the care label. But here you also have the traceability. So you will see the full value chain back to the farm. And you will also get information about how you will take care of your product, the care, or the possibilities of repair and the future also the future of the product. So here we open up for also more information to be added. This is not where we limit ourselves. This is the first version. And we see the possibilities to go on beyond this, where we can add a lot of information and we can add a lot of valuable information for our customers, and we can engage with the customers in this way. I encourage you all to also scan the QR code to be able to go in and have a little bit more deep dive into this first version of the digital product passport. Thank you.
And now we're gonna enter into the panel section of this morning. I want to kind of peek behind the scenes of this project with all these 4 companies who has made this possible. We still have Anna with us from the west coast of Sweden. We also have Stina Berens, project manager Future Materials at Axe Foundation, Caroline Katela, product specialist here at GS1 Sweden, and Heinrich Schultz joining us from South Africa. He's the founder and CEO of Virtual Roots. So quite the international panel here in this physical virtual setup. I really love what we can do here at GS1. Thank you, Anna, for this presentation. I thought it was a lovely video also giving kind of a highlight of what this is all about. But now let's get to some of the insights from this project. Anna, I think I'm sorry, Stina, I think I'm gonna start with you. You are from Axe Foundation. You're one of the kind of initiators of this project. Can you talk about why this was important for you guys to get involved with this?
So great to be here. Thank you, Conrad. Axe Foundation drives larger sustainability projects, and our focus is all about bringing people and solutions together. And we are a Swedish nonprofit, and we focus on practical solutions, bringing actors across the entire value chain together to create these solutions. And in this case, we gathered the international value chain to work with a fully traceable textile value chain. And our goal is to create real actionable solutions that then can be implemented by the industry, that they can actually use this solution. And I would say we have about 30 projects running. I have 25 amazing colleagues. And I would say that in this project and in many others, we act as an enabler and system facilitator to make these collaborations happen, to bring the partners together, and then to create these collaborations to move towards a more sustainable future.
Wonderful stuff. I have so much follow-up on the collaboration, and kind of that's why we're here to talk about. And also we're going to get into how we think the industry can implement this. But let's talk a little bit more about this specific project. Caroline, from GS1 Sweden's perspective, what has been your role in this project?
GS1 creates the opportunity for companies in all sizes and in all countries around the world to identify, capture and share information about the objects that they are tracing in the value chain. So GS1's role is together with the companies to understand how they work today, how do the processes looks like, the way you're working, but also the infrastructure. And then we dig into the details to actually see where we can make a difference by using the GS1 standards to make the entire value chain more efficient, and also for the companies to contribute and feel accountable for reaching to this traceable digital value chain.
Wonderful. We're going to get to Heinrich and the technical solution in a moment, but I want to hear a little bit more from Anna before that. You know, we talk about collaboration. We talk about supply chain or value chains. I love the wheel that Anna showed in the presentation. I think it's a very effective illustration of what this is all about. We need the technical solutions, of course, but it's really about how we work together in this wheel of value chain. Anna, you know, from the perspective of running a fashion brand, what are some of the most important learnings that you've had in this project?
But I think the biggest learning that we've had is that it's always better to start a little bit smaller than you initially think. I think we had big ambitions because there are unlimited possibilities in this project. We can add on so many different things. We can add on a lot of different value chains. But if you don't start small enough to actually get to a result and be able to measure that result, it's quite hard to run the project all the way through. So I think the biggest learning is to start small and then scale it once you see that the solution is there and that it's something that's actually working. I think that has been the biggest learning, wanting a lot of information because we can get it, but we need to start small.
But you do want to implement this more across the collections, right? I mean, this is an initiative. We sell one sweater or a smaller collection, smaller part of your collection, let's say. But you're envisioning this being rolled out in the entire collection.
Definitely, we can see that we can do this with all products that contains wool at the moment. So, and we also see it to scale into other value chains as well, not only the raw material wool. So we see the possibility now that we have the proof of concept and we have been working with the one very specific supply chain. It gives us the tools to actually also engage and motivate the rest of our supply chain to join this project.
Right. And final question, Anna. We heard now from Axe Foundation and GS1. What does it mean for you to have the support of these other organizations when doing this? Talk about what that means for you as a brand.
It's crucial for us. It has been really a big part of us enabling this work, and I think for the value chain as well, because for us to come to a supplier to have a solution in mind, but we don't have, it's a Filippa case specific solution. It might not be so interesting for them, but when we can prove that it's a solution that's scalable, like we're using the GS1 standards, which means that they can take this to other brands and they can also use it themselves with the platform that Heinrich will talk more about, that also enables other things for these suppliers. It opens up for different engagement from the supply chain as well. So that has been definitely one part of why it's crucial for us to have these partnerships.
Right. Stina, back to you. How do you see like an initiative like this kind of supports other companies? I mean, part of what we're doing here is we want to spread the word. We want to talk about the insights. We want the wider industry to get engaged, let's say. So talk about how you envision that.
Well, I think I would like to answer that question with focusing on circular business models. Sure. And I think this initiative provides companies with tools moving towards circular business models. And as Anna has told us here, we have this QR code-based tracking. We can follow the material from the farm and then to the final garment in the store and beyond to repair, resell, and recycling. But this initiative also prepares companies for the digital product passport coming up. But it also optimizes their supply chain, and you can offer consumers this afterlife services. And I think we're in the midst of a transformation here. We are in a hurry and we're moving from a linear economy to a circular economy. And we need to start this, we're in the paradigm shift and companies need to make this transition and start fast, because I think either you're in or you're out. There is no more business as usual. So this is the future and what the offerings will look like.
Right, a strong sense of urgency
Yes.
here. Caroline, do you see the same thing? Do we need to get going in order to do this?
I definitely see the same thing, and I want to emphasize what you say. Dare to start testing and dare to fail, because now we have the time to actually test and we can find out what works and what will not work. Where do we need to put more effort? And we also have the opportunity to actually see where the data is. Do I have control over my data? Do I know where my data is to fulfill the requirement? So I really agree with Stina.
All right, where is the data? Let's try to get into it. Okay, we've seen the circle now. We've seen kind of what we want to track. We've seen the end result with the scanning and the garment. Let's take a moment to try to understand what's happening behind the scenes. And I want to move over to Heinrich. And I want you, of course, to describe the technical solution, but maybe also give a little bit of a context, because you have experience in tracking supply chains, and this is really what it's about. We need to fetch the data upstream in the supply chain from manufacturers, from mills, etc. Talk a little bit about how your experience with doing this previously.
Yeah, thank you, Conrad. Great to be part of the panel today and share some of their thoughts. I think the first point that we want to make when we talk about the solution at Virtual Roots is that this is not your typical technical solution. What we would like to refer to the solution is that it's a business solution that's enabled by technology. Because I think in today's world of moving already out of the fourth industrial revolution into fifth and sixth, it's no longer just one technology that's going to provide solutions, but many technologies coming together and with interoperability provide business solutions. So if you've read the report that is also available on the initiative, you will see that we make mention of basically two areas of excellence within the solution. The first area is really where Virtual Roots support and work with the brands to translate what the requirements are for such an integrated value chain programs. And when I talk about requirements, I'm talking more about translating the collection in terms of raw material requirements, in terms of yarn, in terms of tops, in terms of raw wool, escalating that down all the way to farm level. And I think we are privileged to have one of our farmers. Germa Gildenhuys is also on the call today. But in any case, we need to do that translation of the requirements of the actual material that we are working with to determine exactly what capability, capacity, and competence is required of our farmers, our scourers, spinners, and participants in the value chain that we need to put together in a successful program. So that's one leg. The other leg is then obviously the platform itself. And Virtual Roots went here in the solution, and we said that we would rather create a global digital infrastructure that is totally commodity agnostic. So think about almost like the internet for industry. And this digital infrastructure we then use, and that can be accessed from any smart device. It can interface with any of the existing ERP or database systems. So it's extremely agile and gives us the opportunity to work with other technologies and standards like GS1 very successfully. And the interface that we then build with these ERP systems also allow us to build forensically hard audit trails of all of the IT handling and product conversion events all through the supply chain and have the data collected according to that. So within a solution, it's a combination of the technology that is supporting what we want to achieve from a business objective perspective. And I think that's what Anna has also mentioned, is that this really gives us that infrastructure, and the fact that it's commodity agnostic gives the brand the opportunity to do all of their offerings, their market offerings on a single platform. But also important is that if you have your supply chain stakeholders that are investing in this sustainability and initiative and better way of working, then at farm level, this investment is not for the farmer only about wool. It is also about the meat that they produce and the other farm products that they produce. So being commodity agnostic, the platform is also a single point of use for the farmers that participate in these programs on our platforms. So to summarize,
Go ahead.
Sorry, to summarize, just to say that if we can be a bit philosophic about all of this, the main aim of what we do in Virtual Roots is really to support brands and their supply chain stakeholders to make that shift from an extractive industry value chain to a regenerative value chain and build that and scale that into sustainably competitive ecosystems. In a summary.
Thank you so much, Heinrich. And I want to kind of double click on what's needed here, because when I speak to brands in the industry, specifically in the fashion industry, a lot of people are worried about how can we engage the supply chain. Are they able to actually upload this data that we want them to do in order for this product passport to kind of come alive? So I think I both want to hear from Heinrich and then from Anna as well, like why have you chosen this project? But Heinrich, what is your experience in getting the suppliers to engage with technical platforms? Is that an easy task, or do you have to be very personally engaged and coaching them?
Yes, Conrad, no, it has been a real challenge, but not only in the fashion industry. I think what we need to acknowledge is that each role player in the industry will be at a specific place in their own digitization journey. And when we offer solutions like this, we must be ready and able to meet the suppliers where they are in that digitization journey and respect that. So from a platform point of view, when we do approach suppliers, we have dealt with garment manufacturers that have absolutely no systems to interface with. They work from Excel spreadsheets and clipboards and these things. So although we have the ability to automate that interface, there's absolutely nothing to interface with. So that's a first challenge that we overcome by deploying templates for manual capturing and workstations for automated capturing directly onto the platform. I think the second challenge that we have is that, and GS1, Carolyn will can also talk to this, but what we found is that although the GS1 standard is very well embedded in retail and tier one suppliers because they supply retail, further on in the value chain, the GS1 standard is not used as widely as we would have hoped. So there's that task, and where Virtual Roots is partnering with GS1 is to also get the rest of the value chain onto the standard in order to have one single standardized approach of managing identities of items right through the value chain. Then lastly, it was also one issue that Anna mentioned was the critical mass. I think that is always a challenge where we want companies to excel their journey in digitalization and make investments to do that. If what it means for their business in terms of critical mass doesn't warrant the investment, it really becomes a challenge. So this is really a support to the call for other brands to join the initiative so that we can achieve that critical mass to make that investment much easier and better for companies to make.
Thank you. And Anna, we're actually getting several questions from the audience about how to identify the farms and how to kind of get the interest from different players in the supply chain. Talk about how you see this, and be happy to give examples from this project, but I'm also curious how you see this going forward, because there are several supply chains happening at once for a fashion brand. How do you tackle that situation?
For us, it's been really important to identify a supply chain as a start of this pilot that is interested in sustainability and increasing their efforts when it comes to sustainability. We need the pilot and the results of the pilots to use that to also motivate the rest of the supply chain. So that's where we started. We started with the relationships that we have in the supply chain today, where we know they are also interested to increase their work and actually work together in the. But we tried with a few that we didn't succeed with as a start. So I think it was important to start with the ones that we had good relationships with, motivating them with that this solution is not another platform where they upload data and the other brand will come with a different platform where they need to upload data. We hear all the time that our value chain, the suppliers in the value chain, they are getting so many different brands, require different information in different platforms. So they actually need to hire people to do their administration for them, to be able to input the information that are required from different brands that they're working with. And we wanted to avoid that. We wanted to make something here that can be connected to the different platforms that they're using and make sure that the data they're putting in is actually can be used for different brands. So that was the starting point for this project. And then, of course, using the supply chain where we know we have good relationships to get the results that we have today. And we can use those results to also motivate parts of the supply chain that has not been as open to change or as open or motivated to join this project. And we see that as a crucial part to be able to motivate the rest of the supply chain as well.
Caroline, I want to turn to you. How do we motivate the supply chain? I feel like this is the crucial question with all of these projects, because it's not about the technology, really. It's about how we collaborate.
Exactly. And thank you, Heinrich and Anna, for elaborating on the challenges. I will add to that. There are a way to motivate, of course, but there also needs to be willingness and openness to change. And that is a crucial thing for have things to happen. So what we do at GS1 is that we also speak about why do we do this? What is the benefit for you as a player in the game? The game is the value chain and you, the actor, is the players in the game. We will have to do this together. We need to collaborate to force or to have fast pace forward. And I think that we also need to explain how do we change? How does the GS1 standards works? And all the other benefits you can have except for aligning with the regulation. You have other benefits besides aligning with the regulation. And that is also a motivation to have them on board.
I want to get to that, and that to me that's an interesting kind of crystal ball topic. Like, where are we going with this? There are so many reasons for doing this, but in terms of kind of supporting the industry or the value chain with technologies, I mean that's partly what you do here at GS1. I feel like there is a kind of almost like a race for standards right now. There's so much happening, lot of worry, let's be honest, about these upcoming regulations, a lot of confusion about what tools should I use, so to speak. What can an organization like GS1 do to help facilitate that?
At GS1, we are in many different initiatives, and we spread the word by doing tests or pilots like this, work together with industries. We gather industries to actually see what the benefits of GS1 can give. So we try to be present to spread the word about GS1. And also on a global level, we work in different initiatives together with GS1. We work with GS1 and other industries and sectors to have them on board and to really understand why is this important and what can we benefit from doing this change.
Stina, any thoughts from you regarding this, engaging the value chain and how perhaps an organization like X Foundation can help, support and support that? You were onto it a little bit before, but just any thoughts on what we talked about?
Well, I think in order to make new innovation happen, you need to gather everybody. And I think what's interesting about this project is from the outside, it might look like a tech project, but it's actually really about making the softer change happening, onboarding all different stakeholders, make them collaborate, and moving together towards a more transparent and sustainable future.
Wonderful. Let's talk about the kind of the prospects of implementing this. And in a moment, I would like you to talk a little bit about the years ahead. I know it's uncertain and where are we going, but maybe starting with, we've mentioned the EU regulations a few times. I know this is a topic that many are thinking about. And Stina, you've been studying this. So how do you see the way forward for a digital product passport, and how can that be crucial for the textile industry?
Well, I think it offers an opportunity to be more aware and get your figures right, but it also offers the opportunity with the digital product passport to build a new relationship with your consumer and also in the circular business models in the afterlife. But I think in the next years coming ahead, I envision this future where traceability is not just an add-on. Right. It's a fundamental part of every textile value chain.
Heinrich, I want to move over to you. When you talk to your clients implementing these technical solutions, obviously here in the EU we have these regulations looming over us. What other kind of arguments do you have for increased traceability? And there's lots to be done in the value chain. So we have to kind of lift the technology and lift how we report and so forth. But let's say we are transparent. Let's say we have all the data. What benefits can we have in the value chain? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, Conrad, I think very important first is just to distinguish between what the industry referred to as traceability and what we mean by industry visibility. Because I mean, traceability systems traditionally was more about verification of the locational origin of a raw material, for example, and it was basically limited to that. So in our world, we use that foundational item level audit trail to give us the traceability, but it's actually so much about the other layers of business intelligence that we build on top of that. And it's the value of that business intelligence that suddenly enable a whole host of new value streams from an integrated value chain program point of view. And some of the examples that I can maybe just quickly mention is that We have integrated value chain programs that's now been running for more than 10 years. And these are value retailers where margins are paper thin, but the ability to remove inefficiencies in their supply chains has really contributed to the profitability and the global competitiveness of these integrated value chain programs. In the UK, we were working with Innovate UK on a solution for the prepared foods industry, and the ability to attract low-cost capital to finance value chains has been a real winner in that specific case, because the visibility that comes with a solution like this gives us the opportunity to verify the status of an asset anywhere in the value chain. What we found was that the saving in the average cost of capital for the food industry, and these were small and medium enterprises in the UK, actually exceeded the profit that they made in a year, just the saving in the average cost of capital. I mean, there are so many examples of how visibility and control unlocks new value streams. And I think as we look forward to sort of how do we link the new generation materials, how do we link the new generation business models with what we have today, this is definitely the gateway of unlocking those new value streams that makes it possible for us to push ahead with this. Because at the end of the day, I mean, everybody is working in that space of economic responsibility as well. So we like to call it, when we talk to clients, we said that we're not looking at sustainability. Sustainability here, I think, is just one component of it. What we'd like to refer to is sustainable competitiveness. How do we ensure that our supply chains and everybody participating in it will be competitive in a sustainable manner going forward? And that's the focus.
Unlocking new values. Anna, I want to hear from you. Where do you see this going forward? You've done it now. We've seen the examples. We've seen all the data, how it can be displayed for one individual product. What other benefits can this have for maybe consumers or you as a brand, or any other value that you can bring to it?
It's so many different values that it can bring. First and foremost, what we can add on here is a lot more data, which will increase our measurability. And I think that's the starting point for us to improve. If we get true measurability and we actually understand where we can improve, that's when we can put our efforts in the right way to make a big difference. I think that is the starting point, that we can increase the data points connected to this to get more measurability. That's for us as a brand. And that is also adding on more value chains, adding on the woven, adding on more raw materials, of course, will add on to the level of measurability that this can bring. But then for the consumers, of course, it's a way for us as a brand to also connect with our consumers going forward. We can help them and guide them in the future where they can hand in their products for repair and for recycling or for resell, and we can connect with them even beyond them leaving our stores. So it's a lot of opportunities also in that circular parts of the industry. So it's multiple potentials in this project, both for us as a brand, for us to speak to our consumers, and for the consumers to actually get more information about what they're buying. What is actually the content of their product? Where is it origin? What has happened with the product during its way? So I think, to summarize that, we see the potential to increase the level of wool that we're using, to scale it with the wool, to include also the woven side, not only the knitted side, and increase the share of our purchase that goes through this project. And then we can also see it going into other raw materials. And really important to also scale it on the circular part to actually be able to connect with the customers after leaving the stores.
Caroline, I'm going to let you have the last word here. What other values do you see, and what can people who wants to engage with pilot projects like this, how should they think about this long term? What's the upside?
I think that by doing this, we also start to have more collaboration between both industries, but also companies. And I'm longing for the industry to see the benefits besides the regulation. As Heinrich said, also the efficiency in the value chain to streamline the processes, ways of working. The transparency to reach the data much more faster, have control over the data, validated and correct data, instead of maybe you might have some control, but you are not really sure. That will open up for so much more benefits. As you said, Anna, about you can point to a specific data point and have it have more control and take better decisions, reporting. So I see a lot of benefits, but it also, one fundamental thing is that we see that we feel accountability to contribute to a digitalized, traceable value chain.
I have so many more questions, but we are running out of time, and we knew we had no problem filling this morning talking about this. Stina Behrens, Caroline Catela, Anna Berne, and Heinrich Schultz, thank you so much for sharing your insights today. And we also have more questions that has been coming in, which is really exciting to see. A lot of the details on the data, how does it work? So there, the panel, you will have more work to do after we sign off here. And for all of you who has listened, thank you so much for tuning in this morning.